What's going on, everybody? It's Noah. And in today's episode of the Rise Method, I want to talk about how you can bring yourself out of the busyness of the mind and into the stillness of the heart to start living a more effortless, flow based life and to attract the life of your dreams. So, in this modern world, I would venture to say, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, that we have placed supreme emphasis of the mind and the capabilities of the mind over the heart, right, of intuition. We place logic and direction and clarity, which we've talked about on this channel before. We just had a recent video discussing that. We place those over intuition and surrender and a still silent knowing. Okay, that's just the tendency of the Western mind, if you will. It is the ethos of Western society, of the advent of the scientific method and living in this very materialistic, logical paradigm. And that can be immensely valuable in some regards, yes, and it is necessary. It isn't that you want to discount that. In fact, we want to establish a state of brain and heart coherence. But what often happens is that in this space of reality creation and manifestation, say you're looking to increase your energy levels, right? You want to experience more vitality on a regular basis. You feel drained and fatigued, but don't know why, and now you're looking to change that. And because we're so accustomed and conditioned to living from this space, right? Our sense of awareness is up here all the time, that it lends itself to feeling overwhelmed, to feeling drained and fatigued, because there is this misalignment, there's this disconnect between the mind and the heart. You know, we're trying to control reality and every single piece of our reality with the mind, right? We get into this need to micromanage every little step, right? We're so focused on the how, we're not focusing on the end and living from the end. You know, that's what mystics like Neville Goddard and Joe Dispenza talks about that as well. And that's the crux of the work, essentially, is to practice living from the end. And that is in thought, yes, but also in feeling, in living from the heart. And it's that latter element, right? Living from the heart, embodying that and feeling that, right? Connecting to our body. That is the crucial element in bringing about attracting, the health or the wealth or the relationships or the energy, the peace even, all of those things. It's about bringing that into the body and reestablishing connection with the body. Okay, because again, the nature of our work, and as we're continuing to grow the internet and to work online, we're becoming increasingly, there's a tendency to increasingly disconnect from the body, from our physicality. Okay, and in that physicality are our emotions, right? Being able to live and to integrate our animal instincts, our animal nature. And when I say that word animal nature, that does relate to, let's say, more primal instincts of eating and sleeping and sex and elimination and all of these things, but also to tune into emotions, right? To tune into the heart space. Before we had this neocortex, which is immensely valuable and has this superpower that is your imagination. Okay, and that is a vital role and plays a vital role in the Rise method, the imagination phase. Okay, the heart and the gut existed long before that was developed. Okay, the heart is a much more ancient technology. Okay, and it has a wisdom far superior than the mind. Okay, so consider that in the context of your own life, where you might have this tendency to want to impose your will and to continually act from this place of needing to know every last detail, right? Getting crystal clear on every single thing. And clarity is super helpful, yes, but when we're continually focused and just perpetuating this need for continual clarity, we're never acting and actually going down into the subconscious mind, into the body, because the body is the repository of the subconscious mind. We're not embodying and actually making that change happen at the physical level, right? This is the vessel we use to interact with in the world. Okay, all of our emotion, all of our sensation is stored in the body at a subconscious level, and it resides in the heart, in the gut. And so we seek to get in tune with that, because when we do get in tune with that, okay, the desire, what we truly desire, comes online, and we start to actually move towards what we really want, because what can happen is when we have this separation and we're so used to operating from the mind, we can be disconnected from our body, from our innate desire, what we want as individuals, what is our dharma, if you will, what we're seeking to express, how God wants to live through us. And so we start to just focus on what society thinks is beneficial, or society tells us is good. And that leads to this place of, you're in this path, you're in this journey, and you're trying to make everything happen. You're following all the rules. You're crossing your T's, dotting your I's, but it's fatiguing, it's overwhelming, it's draining. Okay, and so you can make results happen, yes, but on the inside, there's this certain emptiness. That's the businessman or woman who's outwardly successful but inwardly miserable on the inside. And there's a passage in the Bible where Christ says, "What good is it for a man to gain the world and yet lose his soul?" And it's exactly that. We operate from the mind, okay, and we have this ego that is listening to all of this conditioning, taking in all of this conditioning, and then operating and trying to make things happen, shape their lives in such a way that it appeases that ego, what it says is good and should happen. And your ego is a part of the journey of actualizing your true desire, because you are an individual. But when it's solely the ego speaking, the lowercase s self, and it's not in tune with capital S self, right, infinite intelligence, and getting back into the heart space and living from a more intuitive, feeling-based state, okay, there's always going to be that resistance, that internal resistance where you're trying to make things happen again and again, and yet you feel fatigued, you feel exhausted, right? You have to put on this, you feel this mask that you're putting on in the world when you're interacting with people. And so again, we want to learn to live in the heart, okay? Because something else about living from the heart and what that means is simply allowing the desire that already exists within you, right? What already wants to be expressed and what you already know is your purpose, your ikigai, and we could talk more about ikigai sometime in the near future. It's essentially your purpose, and it's this layover of 4 different elements, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and finding that's your ikigai. When you can get in tune with that, what the heart really wants, and what naturally wants to be expressed through you, it naturally knows how to bring that about. When you facilitate the proper conditions for that. If your desire exists within you right now as a seed, okay, and just like a fruit tree that you plant, right? You plant the seed, and so long as you nourish it with good water, adequate sun, you give it nutrients from the soil, right? That is the tree itself will naturally spring into being and produce the fruits you desire. And what are those conditions, right, on an internal level? Well, it's essentially 2 things. It's good thoughts, right? Thoughts in alignment with that desire. Okay, that is the mind. And then feelings. Okay, living in the emotional state associated with that desire, right? With where that desire is a reality for you. It's a potentiality, and you're bringing that to you and embodying that in the now. When you establish that, live in that manner, okay, that allows it to naturally come into fruition. But you first have to get back in touch with the heart. You have to get back in touch with your feelings, in tune with your feelings. So how do we do that? Well, you can utilize the power of the mind to situate your awareness down into the heart, into your feeling, okay? Utilizing visualization, imagination, to start living from your heart space, to feel that, that awareness, right? Feeling it moving from the head down into the heart, and just sitting in that and noticing what comes through. Notice the expansion, the lightness that comes through. I've made a guided meditation for this, which I'll link to right here, that goes into detail about that as well. But what you can do to kind of begin this is just closing your eyes and just taking a couple of deep breaths into the belly and then the chest, and then just a nice sigh on the exhale. Okay, that's going to allow that parasympathetic nervous system to come online. Breathing out. And after a few of those, okay, you can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your gut, Take a breath into the gut first, and then into the chest. And on that exhale, you're going to make a VOO sound, and I want it to come from the bottom of your belly, and prolong it as long as you can. So it sounds like this. VOO. And you can perform that 3, 4, 5 times. And what that's doing when you're creating that vibration, right? You're not just using the mind anymore, but you're actually creating a vibration through the body. That is a technique derived from Peter Levine's Awaken the Tiger, who created the method of somatic experiencing. And it's helping people who are trying to resolve trauma, right? To actually get into the body and to soothe the body, soothe the nervous system through that VOO technique. Because when you're prolonging the exhale, it's going to allow the relaxation response to come in, okay? Get you out of that fight and flight sympathetic state, that very high wave beta state that we're used to going about our days. And we can start to relax and tune into the body. And I can notice that even just doing that one time. And so after taking a few of those breaths, doing that 3, 4, 5 times, doing the VOO technique a few times, just sit in that space. And from that vibration of the VOO, okay, just begin to tune into this space around your heart. Okay, you can think of like an orb, right, that's exuding from your chest. And if you do have this awareness in your head, allow it to gently travel down into that space and just notice that sensation. What does that sensation feel like? Notice how the mind grows still. Notice any emotions that arise. Gratitude, light, peace. Perhaps there's some resistance there that may need to be addressed as to why that might be. And so just performing that for a few minutes, in the middle of your day, using it to start your day, end your day, it helps to situate you to start living from the heart and to get out of the head, right? When we're constantly trying to conjure up ways mentally, intellectually, to make these desired results happen. Okay, you don't actually have to think. It's innate, like it just happens. You don't have to think about things. They just come through. So in living from the heart, right, it's not like you're turning this offline, right? We want coherence. And it's restoring a balance, essentially. Because when we have that balance, that coherence, then we're operating from a state of wholeness. And from that place of wholeness, then we are free to create, right? Because in wholeness, we accept ourselves fully, the totality of ourselves. We accept who we once were, and we accept who we truly are, right? Who we desire to be. We are shedding off and letting go of the resistance and adopting effortlessly the new way of being. We're allowing them to come into the body now when we live from that state of wholeness. It's the path of least resistance, not the path of zero resistance. This is the path of least resistance, okay? Not needing to force your way to overcome challenges externally again and again and again, which can be one part of the journey, yes. But I would largely say that that is a smaller component, and quite frankly, it can be unnecessary most of the time, because when you are acting from the state within and looking to change from the inside out, that is taking the path of least resistance, and you're not having to constantly move about in the external to make things happen, but you are shifting, okay, your thoughts and your feelings, and then allowing your innate desire to come through you. You're allowing your heart, right, to take the lead, not your mind. Allow the heart to take the lead. The mind is the servant to the heart. Let the mind be a servant to the heart. Let the heart express its desire, and then the mind goes to work for the heart. Okay, but it has to keep that balance. And so that practice right there can be very effective for you and can bring about the change you seek. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave any comments or questions down below. Let me know how this works for you, what you experience with this practice, and just your general experience of where your sense of self resides, right? Are you more in the head? Are you more in the heart? Are you in the gut? Notice where that is for you. And yeah, leave any comments or questions about that. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to have you. I'm sending you so much love. And until next time, let's rise.